City Council Workshop Thursday, September 5th, 2024 to order. Roll call.
Tony Nelson.
Dan Raymer.
Jackie Huns. Michelle Adam. Jessica Bonnewa. Kevin Triplett.
Sam Solars. All right, let's get down to business. 2025 preliminary budget discussion.
So we're just gonna basically start where we left off from the last discussion, and I'm gonna share with you any changes that were made from the last draft. So we're gonna go through the expenses. The first biggest change here is in public works. So we discussed street maintenance as a hot topic. This account line was supposed to go up to 125,000 next year. After talking with Dan, he said we're gonna bring it down to 110. Give him a little bit of a bump, but not the full bump. And then hopefully in 26 we can increase it the rest of the way. The next one, so the next one is every year the fire department transfers out 100,000 from their general to their capital. It was expected to bump that up to 150,000 next year. After talking with Kevin, he's comfortable with his cash balances in both the fire department fund and the capital fund. So we bumped that back down to 100,000. Some smaller ones in the parks, the repair and maintenance of buildings and grounds. We were going to bump that to 15 next year. We brought it back down to 10,000. Talking with Dan about a couple of these. There's not really anything planned for the parks. There's not any large needs right now, so it was just an area we could take some money. Sam, I apologize. I took your 10 grand back out for music in the park. And then for the improvements other than buildings in the park, that was slated to go to 55,000 next year. We took that down to 10. Just once again, after talking, really nothing slated. Money can be used for streets. Yes.
I was just gonna say, do we wanna touch on why some of this is going down?
Like,
Because of the,
okay, yeah, sorry, I should have started there. That's not everybody, I just assumed everybody knew. So why we're discussing all this is our previous tax capacity for this year is at about 4.175. We got the prelim tax capacity back from the county, and it is dropping 352,000, about 3.86 and some change. So basically, I was estimating an increase to our tax capacity, and with a decrease, we have to start cutting expenses, and a lot of expenses to try and get that rate to not jump as much as when I plugged in the tax capacity number with our existing expenses that we had discussed last round. We were looking at a 20.3% increase. So once we get to the end here, I've got some options for council to look at and make decisions so that we can get something approved Monday night. So is there any questions on that or the capacity or? It's
kind of out of our hands.
It's out of our hands. So what happened is the state increased the mins and the maxes for, it's a homestead, thank you. So basically, the max previously was 415,000. So if your house was worth 475,000, you weren't getting that credit per se. Well, now houses all the way up to 500,000 are. So that credit that did not exist before now exists. So all those houses within that 415 to 500,000 market value range now gets this credit, which affects our capacity. So in my opinion, I feel like they're playing catch up from COVID, but we're paying for it. real small things on the community center, just with the discussion of the, new cleaning service, I just dropped this down to the highest bid we've had so far. Repair and maintenance of buildings and grounds at the community center, with the flooring, the painting, the sidewalks, the parking lot now getting done. There's really nothing else that needs to be done over there. So that was slated for 20,000, and we took it down to 10,000. This is all debt, can't get away from that. Some of the biggest things is our capital. So we were slated to get a new SCADA system, next year, which was estimated at 300,000. We took that out, simply because of discussions of the new wastewater. We're not gonna spend 300,000 when we've got a new plant coming down the line. The two other things, we were supposed to be adding square footage to the lower shop, correct? And overlay the parking lot down there, you know, about 250,000. Talking with Dan, the add-on is kind of a Band-Aid, more needs to be done than that. So we took it out in hopes that,
Well, we didn't take it out, we pushed it down the line.
we took it out for next year, sorry. We're pushing it down to the line.
I don't know what happened there. So basically, we had money in there to expand our shed and tar out the front of it. Well, 250,000, let's be real, it's not gonna expand that shed. Secondly, with the wastewater, whatever they plan on doing, if they're gonna decommission our plant, if they're gonna, you know, that's all up in the air yet, so I don't wanna wait, but I think it's better off waiting to know what's going on with the plant before we start adding buildings out there. So we kinda just pushed this down the road a little bit, but let's be real, I just wanna warn you, when we get to it, and we wanna do it, you could probably double that price.
I think it's gonna be a larger add-on too.
Yeah, it's gonna be a giant add-on, because right now, we play dominoes in that shop. Or, you know, move this
Play
vehicle, get
Tetris
this
in there.
vehicle, Tetris to get something out. It was a nice shop 15 years ago, we've already outgrew it. So,
And is that on our CIP?
yeah,
Going forward?
It is for brand new shop.
not brand new,
I know
I
the
think the addition was.
The community center is slated on there. The community center is slated for 2027. A gargantuan salt shed.
I don't know why they put that in there.
I know, I saw that, I was like, why
They
is
typed that up.
this?
That wasn't-
It's that's also slated for 27.
And again, we need a salt shed, let's be real. But it'd be nice to know what they're doing with the plant, because obviously it's gonna go out there somewhere.
Yep.
So,
Maybe by then we would know,
Yep.
2027,
I just-
maybe.
I know this has nothing to do, but I'll bring it up. Wright County contacted me about 2 months ago, and this might happen. They're talking about building a new place, you know, the one in Waverly behind the gas station there?
Yep.
Relocated. They need more space. And they're looking for land between Montrose and Waverly, and they were wanting to know if we were interested in cost sharing salt shed with them. And I said, well, possibly, but let us know what it's gonna cost, and then we found any land yet. And they're like, well, we haven't found the land yet, because everybody wants too much money, but just saying, just give you that heads up.
It's a possibility to split the cost and building if they're willing to split.
Right.
I mean,
So,
all we need is the shed, but they're gonna actually build more there, right?
yeah, right.
We need the salt housing unit.
So you obviously don't want Band-Aid with the shot.
We don't want a Band-Aid shop. Correct. I mean, if you added on to that shop down there, double that size, it would work, probably get you another 20 years, I would say. But, until wastewater, everything with the wastewater plant's up and running and ironed out, you know, don't know what's gonna happen.
That's gonna play into a lot of things, I think.
Yeah,
Finding out what's
Yeah.
exactly gonna happen.
yep.
Now, thinking ahead, so let's say that they don't decommission said plant.
I got a feeling they're not gonna decommission the entirety of the plant, but yes. Would SCADA be a need? SCADA's still gonna be a need in this town. And you're gonna find out Monday night when I come to council meeting, so. So we gotta stick some money into our SCADA, yeah, but. Yeah, as long as we have lift stations and well houses, and you guys want the guys on call to know when stuff goes down, we gotta have SCADA. The problem is Walls passed a security bill, cybersecurity.
Well, I know.
We had to do an assessment on it. And we found, well, our assessment crew found some things that we need to add, and we need to subscribe to a thing. I'm bringing that to the council meeting Monday night. We wanted to upgrade to the Cadillac with the SCADA, but obviously we just pushed that off until we know what's going on with the wastewater plant also, so. But this is this ain't you guys, do we want it? We have to do it.
Yep.
So. SCADA's working fine the way it is right now. We have to upgrade some security issues, so that's it.
So with those changes, and then so our shift in our capital, so all I have for levying for capital right now is basically 300,000 in street improvements. With that said, we would be looking to certify roughly 2.167, which will put our rate at 56.69. So roughly 12.5% increase. I do have comparisons for property taxes and everything.
So we just thought, so street improvement says 300, what would it look like at 4?
So this is my comparison. So this is our 24 current right now, we're at 44.12. So at 300,000, we'd be at 12.5. At 400,000, we'd be at 15.1. My suggestion, just because we are only in prelim, we're not in final.
Yep.
Capacity will change.
Yep.
My suggestion is to actually go with a 500,000 street improvement. Yes, I know 17.8 sounds high, but we've got playroom. If capacity goes up, we can play with that street improvement and maybe a couple other line items if we need to. But it gives us wiggle room. I don't want to be locked in at prelim with no wiggle.
Right. And we could always go
And we
down,
can always go down.
never go back up.
Yes, that's what I was saying. You know, if at final we decide we want to go with the 300,000, great. And maybe it might be at a better rate because our path capacity could be higher.
Yep.
But we gotta kind of play the game. You know. So this kind of gives you, I'll kind of scroll back over here, sorry. So this is 24, so this is roughly on a property value, what they're paying in taxes. So with a $200,000 street improvement, we're looking at about a 9.95% increase. And then you can see these are one of the increases on those values. And then again at 300, and then I can scroll over to 400 and 500. So once we get up to that 500,000 mark, on a $300,000 home, we are looking at about $530 a year. So what questions, comments, concerns,
What's the
ideas?
increase, 9, right, what?
298.
I'm sorry,
For the,
The first
200,000.
9.8 increase?
9.95 would be about 198.99.
What have you seen with cities and right now? Have you had any conversations with them as far
Yep,
as
I had 2 finance meetings 2 weeks ago, and most are in double-digit increases. You know, Buffalo's looking at 11, most are looking at that 13. There's very few in the single digits at right now. And I have a feeling most of us, when we were talking, are cushioning a little bit because we all did discuss that pretty much the majority of capacity is dropped. Very few stayed level or went up. So we're all dealing with this, that we were expecting an increase and, oh no.
chasing tail to.
And there are a couple cities playing catch up, so. Well, Cocato, I think we all heard about them,
Yeah.
so, they're looking at 2021.
And that was before
That would be
the
before.
tax capacity,
Yeah.
Yeah.
so,
I wonder what it's at now.
you know.
I'm curious myself. And as far as cuts go, I mean, they, obviously it is what it is, but
I don't know, believe me, I looked over this every single day. And I don't know really where else we can thin ourselves out much more.
how much, what was the total amount that was cut? Or was proposed to be cut?
Let's see, let's see, we're at 2.1, I wanna say we were at, probably I cut about 500,000. Between 5 and 600,
Yeah, and that's nothing to laugh at, I mean,
no.
that's a serious amount of change.
Mhm. Well, and I think the increases that we did make that were larger increase, it was because the engineer's been budgeted at 10,000 for 5 years and we spent 40. Why are we need to budget what we're gonna spend?
Right.
So those are increases that needed to be made.
Yep.
Yeah, some of the more cushion stuff we took out,
Mhm.
some of the stuff that was like wants,
Mhm.
wants versus needs. Yeah, it was tough. You've been diligently working your magic for, a few weeks now, so.
Well, I was happy at least that it was down in at 12 and a half.
Yeah.
With a 300 street improvement, that, my goal was to be like under 14, so I felt it was decent.
Oh, excellent work.
Thank you.
Got any other questions?
So, yeah. What are you guys' thoughts? Where would you like to be at? What are you thinking? I'm just kind of wondering what I need to bring forth Monday for approval for prelim. Should I bring some options? Are you leaning one way or another?
Can you go back to the,
You want to see the increases?
yes, please. Thank you.
I know Kirby was looking at the 9% increase.
Yeah, so when I talked to Kirby, he was leaning towards that end. When I talked to David, he was leaning towards the 400.
But this ain't finalized, this is still, again, preliminary.
So still prelim,
You
capacity,
can always go down.
capacity can
As I said,
change.
so we can go down.
Right.
Can go up. So I think that's the key thing. This is not set in stone. If you went with the highest at 500,000 at a 17.8% increase, we can't go any higher. We can only go lower. This is not set in stone. We do not have to do this.
When do you get the final numbers?
The tax
for
capacity.
tax?
Should be the end of September usually, or?
Usually it's another month.
Yeah,
We were a little late getting them this year.
usually after we submit the preliminary, so it's always kind of a guessing game.
So
But then-
what's the negative to go with the highest to start?
Well, it's gonna look bad when they publish in the paper, people are gonna flip out.
Yeah.
Cause they don't realize it's just a preliminary. That's what's gonna happen. Until I started working for a city and I saw the paper, I'm like, oh my God, but you understand the rules and how things work, so you're gonna have to answer those questions when they start talking to the council, like, what is this? Well, it's not set in stone, it's high, we gotta talk about it yet.
Well, if there's changes will come.
Right.
And then the final will come in December, so.
I mean, that's the
Besides
biggest
having to
downfall
have-
that I know of, I mean, that's really what's gonna happen.
Besides having to have difficult conversations, which we're gonna have to do anyways in order to fund a lot of the things that we need to get done in this city. I mean,
And I know a CIP was just approved in December, but working off this CIP has been horrible. It's just not, it's planned out well in the fact that we know that what our expenses are gonna be and what we think they're gonna cost, which I'm not sure the costs are really accurate. The hard part is it doesn't really tell me how are we paying for it. Like, we're estimated to buy a new plow truck next year for $300,000, but it just has $300,000 in it. Well, how are we paying for this? Are we levying for it? Are we gonna start getting some money in the kitty so we've got some carryover? it's just not easily, and I've already deleted a bunch of stuff in it that I was like, after talking to Ken, he's like, don't do that, don't do that. So I don't wanna have to redo it again when it was just approved, but I think it's something that we do need to talk about. And perhaps that coincides with, having a goal setting session.
Yeah.
You know, once after elections, after the first of the year, what is the goal of this city? What are the goals of the council? And that will drive this. And I think that's where we need to go.
Well, that's when you start getting explanations on how we're gonna pay for things.
Yeah.
By putting money aside
Yes.
for things down the road.
Yes.
Well, historically, that's what we've done with that operating transfer is we take $100 out of our thing and it just goes into our other CIP. That's for an engine, roof replacement. I don't have it labeled for that, but that's how I pay for my big purchases, is with that. If I don't have that money there, I don't come to council without another plan in place, obviously.
Well, and you'd be amazed, I mean, I know like we could even levy for parks at 10 grand a year. It's just a kitty to start something. $10,000 on a levy, it's a little bit, but to start something or start planning out.
Correct, yeah, we need to start thinking future-wise.
And planning several years out and not being like, oh, we gotta add $300,000 to our levy for next year. I mean, that's
It just
probably
seems
not
like
gonna
we're
work.
always playing catch-up
Catch up.
and band-aiding things because that hasn't been planned for. And, you know, like the term I heard is futurist mindset. You have to start planning this thing 4 or 5 years ahead of time before you can actually get there, instead of basically what we're doing now is just playing catch-up.
Well, I know historically, and it's the fire department's public works, it's the city, it's everything. If we're building something, doing something, we do it for today, maybe 2 or 3 years beyond. We need to look, you know, Dan says he needs a 10,000 square foot shop, maybe look at a 15 or 20,000 square foot shop.
Right.
You know,
Plan bigger than.
plan bigger than what you need.
Yep.
Space will get utilized.
Well, and it's gonna be cheaper now than in the future.
Correct. Same thing with City Hall. If you think you only need 2 offices, you should probably put 4 offices.
So we can all agree that the next, after the wastewater plant, to me, the biggest need of the city is gonna be water treatment. And that is a lot of money. A lot.
I'm not ready for that.
Yeah, but, right, you're not ready for that, but that. you know,
30,000 should cover it.
Yeah.
Add a couple
If you could flip
zeros.
If you flip a coin and times it by 100. But yeah, I mean, it's time to, I think, revamp the CIP, even though it got approved. I
Well, we
just-
can make changes to it, it's
Right.
not set in stone.
Right,
And then have council reapprove those changes.
and
You
have
know,
it
after
be,
a goal setting session and some of the other stuff, yes.
and give us some, like, guidance on where is the money coming from, like you said, like, I have no idea.
Should we be saving for this, or is this something we should be looking at a bond at down the road, or whatever the case is,
Mhm.
depending on how much it is, probably.
Anything else?
Unless you guys have some direction on either options or which one you wanna go with for Monday.
I mean, we need to throw something in to street improvements, that's.
Well, that's, I wanna give you a heads up, 500,000 right there, won't even cover the
Yep.
cost of redoing Pheasant Hill.
Right, I know, and
Since we can come down, we might as well just start at the 17.
Start at the high,
17.
Start at it.
I personally believe it's the smartest way to do it.
Maybe we'll be surprised and the tax capacity will come and that'll drop down to a 4%.
Wishful thinking.
I got it.
Vikings are going to the Super Bowl too, right?
Yeah, I got the tickets already.
All right.
That's
I'm gonna
good.
say something, but we'll save that for later. Yeah, I agree, I think we should start start at that, and again, can't go up, only go down.
Is it gonna bring questions? Sure.
Again, it's, no matter what we do, it's,
Well,
questions
and,
gonna come up.
yeah, just, emphasize to people, and we'll, emphasize this on Monday, that we can come down, we just don't wanna be stuck.
Yep. Right.
Especially if capacity goes our way, we wanna have some wiggle room.
Yeah, I'd hate to be at 200,000 or 300,000 and being like, we could have been 200,000 more.
So,
Well, you can adjust, you can adjust more than just the street improvements, right? You can make your,
Yes.
your total levy is what you're
Yeah,
The
adjusting.
total is overall, yeah.
Overall, so we can make adjustments, finite adjustments all day long.
Oh, yeah. I just, with that 500, it gives us that
An
cushion
easy cushion.
to move stuff around, like maybe, and then, you know, hopefully capacity comes back higher and we can lower some things. I don't know.
Right.
Capacity goes up, at least the rate will come down on 500, we'll see.
Yeah, I think the 17th is place to start.
I will prepare everything for that then.
Anything else? Once, twice. I will adjourn. Thanks, everyone.
Thank you.
So what is this?